Hey everybody, Jimmy Smith back from Bellator in San Diego last weekend. That's why I've been away for a couple days, and I'm going to London for another Bellator this weekend. So check it out before. It's obviously earlier, before all the UFC Noche and Canelo stuff. But now that I'm back, I want to do a quick little preview and my thoughts on essentially the main event for Noche UFC. I did a video previously on the channel, and by the way, thanks so much for all the comments, all the likes and everything. The channel's really doing well, and it's because of you guys, and I really appreciate it. So I did a video about kind of Canelo versus UFC, and my thought that basically there's a group of fans that are going to watch UFC. There are a group of fans that are going to watch boxing, and you're kind of going for, the independent voters in the middle. And, was UFC Noche enough to get that? I doubted it simply because it wasn't crossover big. Sugar Sean O'Malley's big, but I think a lot of it is he's big in the MMA community. I don't know if he's that crossover John Jones, Ronda Rousey, where someone who doesn't generally buy pay-per-views will buy one because there is, Sugar Sean O'Malley in it. How many? Two things that I think are important, and I'm not going to rehash the whole video. You're going up against Canelo. Is that a huge deal? No, simply because you have your own fan base that doesn't necessarily watch boxing that much, but it doesn't help in that, there's some other competition drawing away not just the fans, but the combat sports media space. A lot of people are talking about Canelo. And you can only read so many articles in a day. You can only listen to so much information in a day. And whenever there's something else in the combat sports space taking oxygen away from your product, it's not good. And the card itself just wasn't. I thought for the Sphere and Mexican Independence Day, they'd really go, home run, put a lot of, crossover talent on there. I don't know who was available. That's another thing. You just don't know who was around that they had available. And it was Sugar Sean O'Malley, probably the best they had, and they went for it. Of course, Alexa Grasso, the only Mexican champion on the roster right now, so of course you put her on the card. Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez. Okay, you're getting a little bit of crossover. There just aren't that many huge names on the card. And, folks, the Sphere is expensive. It's really expensive. And I don't know what it costs right now to go to T-Mobile and check out Canelo. I'm not quite sure. But I know a lot of people are balking at the UFC prices, and they've gone down significantly. A friend of mine just wrote me and said, hey, there are Sphere tickets for $500. And he said, hey, do you want to go out there? And I said, I'm in London. I couldn't go anyway, even if I wanted to. But it's this idea that regardless of Canelo being competition, the price of the Sphere, you're asking people to pay a lot of money to see a fight, and they want to see something really great or something really crossover and spectacular. They tell their kids they saw John Jones live, whatever the deal is. And I don't know if Sugar Sean qualifies, and they are having trouble filling up the Sphere. Beyond all that, what is going to happen with the main event? I am not one of those people who is looking past Sugar Sean O'Malley. I'm not going to tell you who my favorite is yet, but Sugar Sean has surprised me multiple times. Most against Petr Yan. A lot of people thought Petr Yan beat him, and that's fair. I thought he beat him at the time. But I did pick Aljamain Sterling. I did pick Marlon Vera, and he beat both of them solidly. So I've kind of come over to see him as a much more legitimate threat than I did during the Petr Yan fight, where I thought he got taken down pretty easily. He's really impressed me. Part of his style, a big part of it, is that ability to angle and hit very, very effectively. He has a knockout punch. His footwork is very good. His timing is very good. His accuracy is very good. That'll get you through the vast majority of challengers. The question is Merab Dvalishvili that kind of challenger? Now, if you look, which I have at the Aljamain Sterling fight, he caught Aljamain Sterling kind of reaching, moving forward out of position in a way that I thought was pretty bizarre, meaning you just can't afford to make a mistake like that against Sean O'Malley. I think maybe Aljo overlooked him, didn't realize how powerful he was, didn't realize how accurate he was. He took one on the chin, follow-up punches, and it was over. Merab can take a shot. He's a very big 135-pounder, and his style is just kind of grinding. He's not particularly athletic. He's not super-duper explosive. He is very, very strong on the inside. But one of the reasons early on in MMA, Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, Matt Lindland, a lot of guys had Greco-Roman backgrounds. Chael Sonnen, most people don't know Greco-Roman. Yeah, he was an All-American at Oregon, but really a Greco guy, internationally speaking. I think university champion, if I remember correctly. Why are guys like that so hard to deal with? Because it isn't just shoot and sprawl and you can stop the takedown. When someone gets in that pummeling way against the fence, you really have to know what you're doing positionally to get out of there. It isn't just, put the hips down and control the head. And I can teach people that to get out of a decent takedown, not from a Bo Nickel or something like that. But, there's a fundamental way to stop a takedown. There's no fundamental way to stop a grinding kind of attack. The kind that Ben Askren put on you, the kind that Colby Covington put on you, the kind that Merab Dvalishvili puts on you, where it isn't one shot, double leg, and either I get it or I don't. He has no problem getting what I call a dirty takedown, which means he gets in and kind of grinds, and he may not get the first one, may not get the second one, may not get the third one, but what he does is he stays so sticky that he locks onto you, and you have a lot of trouble getting this guy off you. He has a great gas tank for that style. And the one thing about that style is it does require a great gas tank. It's not an explode and rest kind of style, right? It's you got to be ready to grind the entire time. If you look at his fight with Henry Cejudo, which I watched recently to prepare for this video, Henry Cejudo's an Olympic gold medalist and does have a great gas tank and does have a great takedown. By the end, Merab just had him broken down. Physically, mentally, just couldn't keep up with Merab. That says something. Big time. Merab can wear down just about anyone. And it's going to be this idea of if Sugar Sean doesn't land a big punch in the first 2 rounds, he's going to have a big problem. Now, I don't mean finish Merab in the first 2 rounds. Get his respect. Hit him hard enough where you go, whoa. So many fights I've called, when somebody takes that shot and their eyes kind of go, oh, whoa, it changes their game plan completely. Not necessarily concussing them, not necessarily knocking them out or knocking them down, but this idea of, wow, I can't walk through many of these. I got through 1, I can't get through 2 or 3. And, it's the bullet whizzing by your head and you realize, oh my God, a few inches and I'm done. It makes you much more cautious. This idea that he needs to get the respect of Merab very, very early. What I would have liked to have seen in previous fights for Sugar Sean, I would love to have seen Marlon Chito Vera put up more of a fight. I really think Marlon just was never in that fight, never got out of second gear. It was really one-sided. I wanted to see how Sugar Sean does in a difficult, grueling, long 5-round fight. Remember, the Petr Yan fight was a 3-rounder. His gas looked good. He finished very strong in that fight, but it was a 3-rounder. I want to see how he handles maybe being down, maybe being a little hesitant, maybe being a little shell-shocked in a late fight. Can he dig deep? He really hasn't had to do that in previous fights. He either clips you and knocks you out, or he's built up a lead and he's not worried about the late rounds, much like Marlon Vera, where he was ahead the entire fight. I thought Marlon Vera could have done a bit more and made us see what he's got, what his mettle really is, but we didn't get a chance to see that. It's very disappointing to me. Big fan of Marlon Vera. Also, when you talk to Sugar Sean O'Malley, it's very funny. I've interviewed him a couple times on my SiriusXM show back when I was doing it. He gets it. And what I mean by that is he said, when he first got into the UFC, he goes, I changed my hair color, and that was like the biggest story of that UFC. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll change it every time and do weird stuff with my hair. I guess that works. This idea that he's caught up in his own hype, you don't get that sense when you actually speak to him. And I don't watch a ton of media just because I know a lot. I used to be in MMA media, so I talk to a lot of fighters all the time. I don't know what impression most fans get. I'd love you to let me know in the comment section what you think from his media interviews and stuff like that. But when I've talked to him and interviewed him, he's actually really grounded about his skills, what he brings, what he can do, how good his opponent is. He still says a lot of stuff publicly. I think in real life he understands how good his opponents have been and how dangerous they are and what it takes to beat them. He's not one of those guys who's caught up in his own mind. He isn't fueled by his own hype. Yeah, he enjoys it. It's making him money. Great. I'd love to be rich too. But it's the idea that he looks past his opponent because he thinks he's that good. I think he knows that Merab is incredibly dangerous. He has to be very accurate. His footwork has to be very good. Has to throw some shot stoppers. And what I mean by that is knees, uppercuts, the kind of things that prevent a fighter from dropping their head down straight. And if he can throw those kind of punches and keep his footwork solid, it's going to be tough for him to drop Merab. Once again, Merab's a big 135-pounder, really excellent chin. Dude's from Georgia, guy's a grinder. It's going to be hard for him to knock him out. But if you can hurt him, get him thinking twice, you can pick him apart for 5 rounds. It is possible. But Merab, once he gets inside, is just so strong. His takedown is so good. His gas tank is so good. His style is kind of awkward. His timing's weird. It's tough to catch him coming in because he doesn't do things in an orthodox way. And I saw an interview with Coach Longo about he's going to have to take shots to get in. He's going to have to take punches. He knows that. We know that. He's not going to go in there clean. Doesn't have the slickest head movement in the world. He's not blazingly fast. He's going to take some punches to get in. He's prepared for that. And Sugar Sean is a sniper. Is he naturally super heavy-handed? And what I mean by that is, I've said this many times, a sniper, a really accurate puncher. Conor McGregor, for example, he relies on his ability to hit you in the perfect spot. An ugly punch from a sniper won't necessarily hurt you. Patricio Pitbull is my best example a lot of times in MMA of just a guy with a dog-ugly punch that can knock you out. He doesn't need to hit you on the butt. The guy's just naturally heavy-handed. I've held pads for that guy. My hands were sore at the end, okay? This idea, he can go with this ugly jab and kind of turn it over and hurt you really bad. Robbie Lawler could hit you with a punch that wasn't beautiful and still knock you out. He really had that ability. And do I think Sugar Sean has that ability? Not that I have seen. It's my favorite boxer of all time, Tommy Hearns, just turned it over perfectly. And when he hit you flush, you were out. That's Sugar Sean. He has a great sense of timing, great sense of range. He turns a punch over very well. He won't clip you with something and hit you on the arm and the elbow and the ribs and make you go, oh my God, that hurts. He isn't really that guy. He's a timing guy. And the problem is being a timing guy and an accuracy guy against somebody who's going to move forward and be kind of awkward and funny and hands up and looking for a grappling exchange, not a striking exchange. He's got to find the button early. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I feel like I'm kind of cursing myself here in that I'm going against him 3 times. I mean, wrong the other 2 times. I've gone against Sugar Sean. The other 3 actually going back to Petr Yan, but plenty of people thought Petr Yan won that fight. But as champion, he's really surprised me. But Merab's style is just ugly and dirty, and I think he's going to win an ugly, dirty 5-round fight and walk out with a decision. Now, right now, the other side of it is Sugar Sean is, depending on your book, like a -130 favorite. So you can make money on Merab. I think that switched over. When the fight was first announced, Merab was a betting favorite. And I think obviously the betting odds have changed because of how people are betting. I'd still go with Merab in this one. I think he makes it a grind fest and ends up winning a fight where the crowd might be booing at the end, which is not great for your debut at the Sphere. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think.